Hi everybody, it's Ben from Radio Oddities YouTube channel. Some big news coming out of OfCom today, 21st of February 2024. The first phase of updating the amateur radio license framework is being implemented as of today. You may or may not recall that back in December of last year, 2023, OfCom announced that they were updating many aspects of the UK amateur radio licenses, and that's from foundation all the way up to full. They brought out a massive PDF going through in great detail what they wanted to change, what they wanted to implement, and licensees were consulted as well. I believe we all got something through the post. I certainly did, although I didn't respond to it because I'd forgot about it, to be honest with you. But they say that out of the 100,000 licenses that are currently active in the UK today, they had around 14,000 responses, which is pretty poor, to be honest with you. I'm not complaining because I didn't respond, but the feedback to Ofcom was a poor take-up. So if there's anything in this new framework that we don't agree with, we only have ourselves to blame for poor feedback from Ofcom. But as I say, phase one's been implemented today, so let's take a look at what phase one is. Phase two is going to commence in autumn of 2024, which is this year, and that seemingly will deal with issuing new intermediate call signs. They're going to be M8 and M9 respectively, and it will also give current intermediate license holders the option to flick over to the M8 and M9 format, or keep the 2E0, 2M0, 2W0, whichever your RSL is. You can keep that format of call sign. So in Ofcom's own words, taken from their website this morning, they will be updating the overall licensing framework. This includes allowing anyone to operate amateur radio equipment under a licensee's supervision, and making the process of getting and using a license simpler and clearer. So that means that anyone from foundation all the way up to full will be able to supervise an unlicensed operative on their equipment. Currently, only full license holders are able to supervise non-licensees. I'm not too sure where I stand on this one. Certainly for foundation operators, I'm not sure that that's a good idea, allowing foundation new operators to supervise non-licensees. Basically, for me, it'd be intermediate up, or I'd be more than happy to just leave it at full licensees only. I'm not sure why that's been changed. With regards to getting and using a license simpler and clearer, again, I'm not sure what that means. To me, the process is pretty simple. You take the test, your 26 question test, you sit down, you pass it, you get your license. It can't be much simpler or clearer than that. On to the next one, streamlining and modernising call sign assignment. So this is the changes to the intermediate call signs and RSLs. So this includes making the use of regional secondary locators RSLs optional, introducing the RSL E for optional use by radio amateurs operating in England, and simplifying the license terms on the use of call sign suffixes. So as we all know, currently only operators outside of England have to use RSLs. They don't have the option. So say for instance, an operator in Scotland has to use Mike. So for my call sign, if I were in Scotland, it'd be Mike 6 X-ray India India. That's my foundation call. If I were in Wales, it'd be Mike Whiskey 6 X-ray India India. Or when I'm at home in England, it's Mike 6 X-ray India India. So those RSLs are only in place for anybody outside of England. They have to use them. They don't have a choice. Under the current framework that's been implemented today, those will go out of the window. You're not obliged to use an RSL if you're outside of England, but they are introducing the E-RSL for operatives in England. Again, I'm not really sure why. So for instance, I could now be Mike Echo 6 X-ray India India if I so wanted to be, but kind of doesn't make sense to offer the option of not using RSLs, but then give a home country that didn't have an RSL the option to use RSLs. It all seems a bit confusing, and as if somebody can't make their mind up. But that's where we are at the moment. You'll obviously know that intermediate call signs in England do have to use the RSL. So for me, it's 2 Echo 0 X-ray India India. But again, I'm a little bit on the fence with this one. I'm not too sure where they're going with the RSLs. Me personally, I would drop them all together. I don't see that they're required. We are all one nation and we all come under one umbrella. I know that might irritate some people, me saying that, but that's just my own personal views. Obviously you won't get away with it on the current 2 Echo 0 or 2 Whiskey 0 call signs, but we are led to believe that we're going to be made to switch over to the Mic 8 or Mic 9 call signs anyway. Another big change, which I fully agree with, and I think is probably the biggest change in phase 1, is increasing transmission power. So they are adjusting technical parameters. This includes increasing maximum power that radio amateurs are allowed to use in most frequency bands. So foundation license holders can now transmit up to 25 watts. That's an increase of 15 watts. Intermediate license holders can now transmit up to 100 watts. That's an increase of 50 watts. And full license holders can now transmit up to 1000 watts, and that's an increase of 600 watts. In today's day and age, where there's so much electrical interference, there's so many people fighting on the bands, etc., etc., I fully agree with this. I think more power was needed, it needed changing, and I can totally understand why. So that's some good news for us. And the last paragraph on Ofcom's website says, providing clearer, updated rules. This includes simplifying conditions to make them easier to understand and removing provisions not needed for spectrum management purposes. I would imagine that's just updating general rules and regulations around the spectrum, probably tightening up some loose ends or omitting anything that's out of date. But for me, the biggest change is the power parameters, the upping of the transmission power. All seems pretty good to me, pretty self-explanatory, I suppose, although the decisions themselves can seem confusing. That's where we're at with it. Like I say, phase 2 is going to be implemented in autumn of this year, autumn 2024, and that will deal with intermediate licenses switching over to M8 and M9 call signs. Bit of feedback from yourselves. I'd be interested to see what you've all got to say in the comments. I know there's some people that are 100% happy with the new framework. I know there's plenty of people that are completely unhappy with all of it. Taking on the if it ain't fixed, don't try to, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it, sorry. But yeah, so I'd be interested to know what your feedback is. Feel free to comment below. Please do like and share the videos across social media, and as ever, to support the channel, please do subscribe. There will be more videos coming this year. I know it's been relatively quiet. Again, I'm going to try to get back uploading more frequently for you all to enjoy the content that we put out. So thanks for watching this video, guys, and 7-3.